Hello, my name is Raymond Karchevsky, and I am a living Christ. That statement may be shocking to some of you, but I assure you it is because of a lack of understanding on your part, for you also are a living Christ. But you suffer, like everyone who has been conditioned through satanic mind control to believe in myths, superstitions, legends, storytelling, and believe in such nonsense, has caused you to doubt yourself, and you have forgotten, you suffer from amnesia of your true estate. You too are Christ's. Now, to most of you that may sound like a bunch of nonsense, for it runs counter to everything that you believe in. Those of you who are Christians, you're in the Western culture. We must understand who and what we are in order to have peace on earth, a cessation of all conflict, of wars, of violence, of opposition, confusion, all the things that you identify with in your present belief system. For that belief system is false. It has always been false. It was created by satanic elitists who have controlled the world since the first civilization, where they had confused through propaganda. Primitive it may have been, but propaganda nevertheless. For when you succumb to the power of words spoken by others who seek to control you and strip away your freedom, your sovereignty as a human being, as a living, breathing, flesh and blood, sentient, natural man or woman, you have contracted legally with Satan your rights away. You have lost your true state of Christhood, which is at one with divine intelligence that we call God. You see, all civilized human beings live in a world controlled by thoughts. Those thoughts may be called laws, rules, regulations, but they are just conditions being placed upon you, stripping away your right to make free choice. When one lives in truth, there is no choice to be made. Choice comes when one succumbs to the intellect of dualistic consciousness, and therefore must make decisions where they are indecisive, unclear, confused. They must come to an at-one-ment within themselves to have sufficient clarity to take action. And that scares most people to the very core of their being. The solution? Do no harm. You've heard that before. It is God's law. That's the only law that God has suggested. Do not harm another. Do not harm another's property. Do not infringe upon another's rights. And you can do anything else you want to do. Now, when you do no harm, you cannot commit a crime. For crime requires harm. And harm requires victim. And if there is no victim who has been harmed, no crime has been committed. Now, the trap that you have fallen into in being a civilized subject of a government, of a society of people who are ruled by such outward directed so-called laws made by men to control other men, who profit from such made-up rules. That's what society is. That's the U.S. government at the present time. It is not a government, it's a corporate structure. And it's designed to strip away your sovereignty, to strip away your right as a living, breathing, flesh and blood man. You see, all laws are fictions, which arise in the minds of sovereign men and women. Therefore, such fictions can never have more power or be superior to those who created that fiction, living, sovereign man and woman. You see, you have been confused. You have been trained to be confused. You have been sent to school and spent 12 years, high school, elementary and high school, and go on to college and have an advanced course in confusion. I say confusion because all that you have learned in these institutions are lies. You believe them, and you believe them to be true. But truth exists only in the moment of now. It is a holistic momentum of energy that has no conflict within itself. It is holistic, which means non-dualistic, and anything that you have learned in school is dualistic in nature. Therefore, it is not whole, it is not complete, it is not holy. It is a fragment which believes itself to be true. That is the transference of one's wholeness as a child, a creation of God, who has, through their own consent, allowed themselves to be enslaved. You have done it to yourself. All the things that are existing in this world, this civilized world that we live in now today, are evidence of such confusion, such division, opposition, with its violence, with its exploitation. It leads to all the wars that we have lodged against other countries, killing millions of people and being killed. That must stop. That cannot continue. But it will continue as long as the people who have taken position of rulers over you and I continue with their profit motive of exploiting the killing of human beings, the mass killing of human beings through wars that brought them. War is a very profitable operation. It will not be given up easily. We're being faced with the threat of martial law through this Jade Helm 15 exercise, which is really a test to see how the public will react to such removal of their unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. You must give them up, either through fear or through confusion. And most of you fit that profile. You may argue it. You may feel that you have a superior position in hell, but you're still in hell, aren't you? The air-conditioned office that you occupy does not remove you from the fires of hell that others of lesser status experience every day of their life. It's all an illusion, and you are all part of it, and you all support it. That must end, must come to a complete stop. That has been my message as a living Christ that I have brought to you for the last 20 years on the internet. Now, you may say, so what? You can't, I'm just one man, one woman, I can't change anything. That is your self-doubt. That is the first step that you must take to see that it is possible. That the position that you find yourself in as a slave is of your own agreement. Remove that agreement, or it has been a fraud, and you have been brought into it unknowingly, and that unknowingness, that ignorance that you experienced all of your life is constantly being reinforced through the media, through government edicts, through law enforcement, which enforces illegal, unlawful policies. They cannot take your life away. Your life, your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of property are God-given. And no fictional institution, such as government or religion, can strip that away from you. That is your protection against the hell of your being. Now I, as a living Christ, have spoken about this and written about it for the last 20 years. I have removed myself from the confines of the corporate structure which now rules America. It is not a government. It is man-made law. And man-made law comes second to God's law. Do no harm. So as long as you understand that you are the co-creator of your life, and no other man can take that away from you, you shall understand your purpose here on life, here on earth. Take back your country. Take back your lives. Take back everything that you have been defrauded from by such man-made laws. Now you may ask yourselves, how do you do that? I've done it. I've removed myself. I've changed my status from that of a 14th Amendment slave to my rightful state of sovereignty as a son of God, a Christ. I have talked about this and written about this, as I say, on the internet for many, many years, and it has been rejected. Why? Because people are secure, feel secure, having someone telling them how they should live, what they should do, how they should do it, that they don't be punished for it. That's all mind control. Satanic mind control. When you come to understand that, that's your first step out of hell. So let's take a look at what you can do to remove yourself from that self-agreed-to status. On my website, Ark Enterprises, you will find an article titled "The Sovereign Man's Solution to Defeating the Tyranny of the New World Order." On that page, on that written page, you will find all the steps that I, as a living man, took to remove myself from the confines of a slave to the corporate structure now called government. What is not government? For I follow God's law, and one cannot serve two masters. So that's your first step to freeing yourself, because you're still in your intellect and you must make a choice. And that choice will dictate whether you live free or whether you live in enslavement. Let me go through some of the things that the article contains. I can't give you all of the information because they involve links that are too complicated to give to you in an oral presentation such as this. So on the page, I'll read what I can of it, and you can go from there. For no man can free you. You can only free yourself. I shall only be pointing out to you what I have done and its effectiveness. And if you have the ability to change yourself, change your life, here are some hints on how you can do that. So I'll read some of the article, and you can go from there. Below are the steps that I have personally taken to establish my status as a living, breathing, flesh and blood, sentient natural man of the sovereign people. They have proven themselves to be the stone which felled the Goliath of the state of Oregon and the county of Josephine, who cannot, in all their purported power, answer point by point the questions of jurisdiction while under oath or by affidavit. Use them or not, as you see fit. Let your intelligence be your guide, not me or any other man. Stop depending upon experts to solve problems that only you can solve for yourself. Number 1, become debt-free. Remove yourself as a 14th Amendment citizen, slave, debtor to all legal, public and private interactions between you and private and public corporations, creditors. Get rid of credit cards, bank accounts. Deal in cash, money orders, not credit. Establish yourselves as the creditor, the secured party. Act and be responsible for your actions. For that is the essence of a sovereign. 2, common law allows you to copyright your name. For you see, copyright law, common law copyright, and corporate legislative copyright policies are quite different. One is corporate, the other is God-given. The following links contain actual legal filings that I have made with the state of Oregon and the Josephine County Courthouse. You are free to copy any and all of my legal filings and adjust them to your own personal data. Caution: I would suggest that you do some research before you file. Do not take another's word for it. Understand what you are doing. Be responsible for your actions. You may want to read the article, "The Straw That Broke the Back of the American Judicial Tyranny, Common Law Copyright," and my copyright notice. Post notices of 3 consecutive weeks in any general circulation newspaper, and I suggest that you shop around for price. 3. Establish a private agreement between the creditor, the living, breathing, flesh and blood, sentient natural man or woman, the debtor, and the trademark, trade name, fictional juristic person, the one created through one's birth certification, imposed upon you fraudulently by a corporate government. Sever the nexus existing between the corporate juristic person, the straw man, and yourself as a living, breathing, flesh and blood, sentient natural man or woman, clearly delineating the truth from fiction. You may find that on my private agreement establishing creditor and debtor, which is posted in one of my links in the court papers on my website. Number 4, enter into a hold harmless agreement with your legalistic fiction, the juristic person, absolving you, the living and breathing flesh and blood man or woman, of acting as a non-consenting surety for any and all debts incurred or imposed upon such fictional juristic person by government, corporate entities. Such hold harmless form is also found on my court papers link. 5. File a UCC-1 financing statement between the creditor and debtor with the UCC office, Secretary of State, of such a documented relationship, and follow their directions to the letter. Number 6. Retain certified copies of said financing statement to offer as proof, regardless of the criminal acts and threats and or legalistic intimidations which may arise from the Secretary of State's unlawful removal of the documents from this living man. What they have done to me, they can do to you, but you can see in the long run their intimidations have failed. These certified copies may be later offered into evidence toward prosecuting these public officials for the crime of conspiracy to cover up crimes committed by other stonewalling state and county corporate officials who overstepped their authority and removed them without showing cause, because they hold themselves to be above the law in refusing to answer legal questions accompanied by their sworn affidavit. This has been evidenced in my case by the Oregon Secretary of State Bill Bradbury, Governor Kulongoski, Attorney General Myers, Josephine County District Attorney Stephen D. Campbell, and sundry Josephine County judges, prosecutors, state, municipal, and county law enforcement officers. 7. Issue a charge back to the U.S. Treasury Department. A copy of that is also found in my court papers. Issue a bill of exchange in accord with HJR 192. Number 9. Rescind all government contracts previously entered into, wherein full disclosure the time of contract was not given by the state, nor understood by you. All such governments are, by law, invalid and void. Examples of these may be found in driver's license, auto licensing requirements, any permit that strips away your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of property, and makes a right into permission, into a privilege. I have, through my successful actions against the corrupt courts of Oregon and Josephine County, pointed to the way of individual freedom and sovereignty in extricating oneself from within a corrupt land of tyranny. Stop playing the satanic game of organized opposition with impotent protests, going hand in hand, asking permission of your public servants who are there to serve you, not them. You see, you hold all the cards, but you doubt it. Either you are a slave, or you need permission from your superiors to live, or you are a sovereign and take full responsibility for what you do. And such private or public servants be damned. Now, once you understand these things, remove all your support that you have voluntarily given to the satanic power of the world. You may ask, how do you do that? Easily. Resist, not evil. Boycott. Boycott. Boycott it. For as I say, you are superior to the fictional government which purports to rule you, unless you consent to it. Once you consent to it and contract it, they own you. And you don't have any power any longer. You've lost the right to live. They own your property. They own the product of your work effort. And they can take your life by imprisoning you or killing you. This is not an exaggeration. America has not had this kind of organized tyranny up until now in its entire history. There have been attempts at it, but nothing has been so overwhelming, such as the efforts of the New World Order to remove the rights of individuals and give it to a world order organization, regardless of geographical or political jurisdiction. Now, what is the proof that I offer of the efficacy of what I have done. They have threatened this 77-year-old Christ with 35 years of prison, which for me would be a life sentence. But here I sit, a free man, when I refuse their contract of sentencing, when they convicted the juristic person twice in 2 bogus trials and 20-plus hearings, where I have challenged them to prove jurisdiction, and they have refused to do so. That was back in 2002. It is now 2015, 13 years later, and they still have not proven jurisdiction. That is the importance of what I am speaking to you about. As long as they hold the power of the gun and make you doubt yourself, you are a slave. And that's what I want to impart upon you, so that you understand clearly. Know who you are and act accordingly. Are you a sovereign or are you a slave? For you see, God acts in mysterious ways, but he acts through you. No Savior is coming to save you. You are your own Savior. That's the biggest lie that you have believed, which has kept you enslaved. I, this living Christ, have just given you the remedy, the antidote to slavery, and to allow you to return to your rightful state as sovereign men and women, sons and daughters of infinite intelligence, God itself. Thank you for your time.